Naseem, we've had this conversation before about about the thesis of tomorrow, right? Like a lot of even impact investing in venture capital, it rewards extraction and exploitation. And often I've heard multiple times, regeneration is expensive though. And I'm like, well, it's actually not expensive, it's moral. And the traditional legacy model is just funding extraction and exploitation, and it masks it or looks at it as profit and efficiency, but it's not. It's just band-aiding. So how, and even in the work that you do in closing the funding gap, what are some ways that you see the thesis of tomorrow going? Like, how can we actually reshape what venture capital looks like or is structured, or is it not venture capital? Is it something else? How do you see this going and moving from what's the traditional VC model?
How much time do we have? There's a couple of things, right? This is going to come back a little bit to bias. There's some language problems. So when we say impact investing, in this room, we understand what that means, and it spins positive. It actually carries a fairly negative connotation out in the wild in some ways, because it gets characterized as concessionary returns, meaning that we're willing to forego returns for the sake of impact, and we're willing to forego the capital uplift for the sake of saving the world. And that's not what we're doing. We have to be able to talk about financial returns and doing good at the same time. These things should be able to coexist. And we have to start talking about it that way. Mm-hmm. And especially with regeneration, it has that same characteristic to it, where we're giving up capital returns for the sake of sustainability, and we're not, right? And so the way we need to talk about everything has to be in performance. And what a lot of companies are doing is that they are looking for more efficient supply chains. And the way to get to more efficient supply chains is to have them be sustainable and is to have them be more regenerative. And so they're not having to trade out returns. It is just about better throughput. And so we have to talk about it that way and not lead with sustainability, but lead with performance and have it be by way of sustainability. And I think it's the order in which we have the conversation that's going to change how fast we get there. And we put ourselves in a bit of a corner by leading with we haven't, but the politics have gotten ahead of us. And if we recast the story, we're going to be able to achieve the goals we want, but we have to lead with money, right? Because the world works on money. We're seeing this happen in live action right now. We have to play the game we're in before we can play the game we want. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want us to do. I talk to female founders about this all the time also, because as women, it's part of our feminine skill set. We lead with empathy, right? We understand pain differently. And so we're out trying to solve for pain. And I meet female founders all the time that will be 5 pages into their pitch deck, and all I've heard is pain. And I'm 5 pages in and I don't know how much it's worth. And I will stop them and say, you got to tell me how much it's worth. I need money on the first page, friend. And we have to recast the pitch deck to start with the money. And so we need to do that here as well, because we know how much it's worth. We can calculate the outcome. And if we tell the story with money, we're going to be able to get there. And I think we need to do that with everything, because we're going to get to the outcome faster if we talk the way the system talks right now. And then once we've achieved the goal, we can go burn it down and build it again. But we're not going to be able to get there otherwise.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think it's like choose your battles in a way. It's like, is your battle to get people to change their language, or is your battle to get people to understand enough that they can make an informed decision and actually really understand what you're trying to create?
Right.
And I think even in the world right now and how polarized it's really become, everyone's arguing their side and trying to convince versus trying to at least get to a shared humanity and shared space of what is it that you truly desire, and speaking and trying to understand the other person's language. So yeah, that's powerful.
The re-education is going to take too long. Mm-hmm. We need the capital to move. So let's figure out how to get the capital to move.
Yeah. Do you have any quick tips, even one or two, for people in this room, whether it's raising capital or just, there's so many activists as well that are fighting for sustainability and eco and all of that. What are some just quick shifts that automatically is going to just eliminate the resistance that might come up?
It's not going to be groundbreaking. It is knowing our audience. It is understanding how they speak, what words they use, how they talk about things, right? A lot of what's happening with diversity and inclusion, those words are going away, but they're still thinking about culture. They're still thinking about, how to build teams. And so what I've also told a lot of founders is go look at how that, a lot of VC firms have actually taken the DEI words off of their websites, but they are still investing with a diversity lens. So go see how they're talking about it and use those words. And we can all do that, right? Let's go find out what words people are using and let's use their words and have the conversation in a language that they understand. And if we do that well, we're going to be able to have a conversation with them. If we continue to show up with our words and expect them to come to us, it's not going to work. We're going to have to come to them with some of their words if they're going to come back to us with some of our words. And it's consulting 101 a little bit. We're going to have to be relational in how we meet with people, and that's going to take some of that adversarialness out of it.
Yeah, language. Words shape worlds. I heard that quote once, and I was like, it's so true. And yeah, you don't want to be fighting people on language and just get to the results and point. Floraina, I have a question about, we were talking earlier, just for a little bit of context, and I think most people in this room, and I don't want to speak for everyone, we are immersed within the society that we are kind of all working towards shifting or evolving. And for lack of a better word, I'm going to say the fragmented or extractive norms. And your world is quite different. You pop into this world at times, but you're mostly embedded in indigenous community, ancestral wisdom, whereas for us, we sort of try and dip in and integrate that world. It's and so how can we, as a society, as businesses, as leaders, and actually there was a quote yesterday, I think it was maybe Athena who said it, moving from society to humanity and grounding in that human aspect. And that language shift, back to language, I think was just really powerful, and I need to actually sit with it, I think, for a few days and really dive into it. But I think, how can we honor our own ancestral wisdom and indigenous leadership practices in this fragmented world? What are some things that you see that we've forgotten as a society that will invite us into more humanity?
Thank you for that question. So I believe that our conditioning has led us to a time-based life. We spend most of our times by the clock, where this really should not have the biggest impact on what you're doing in your day. And we're so busy that we forget the small practices of our lineal lines, our cultures, our backgrounds. There's simple practices that I teach, one being that when you wake up in the morning, I ask everyone to, as you realize you're waking up, you want to practice 3 gratitudes, because 1, you're opening your eyes, you get to see today. 2, you're breathing. I'm so grateful for my breath. You get to be alive and experience and fight the fight that you choose to create within yourself or for the world. And lastly, be grateful for anything that maybe brings challenge, not just the beautiful things, but the challenge or the lessons, because this is a teacher. This helps you to stay very centered and aware of challenges within your spirit and your physical form. To realize that you are just as wondrous as the stone that maybe you've kicked around before you enter your beautiful homes, or the tree that sits in your yard. You're not separate, and we have to remember that our word, our prayer, and this doesn't really connect to religion. When I say prayer, I mean, speak your truth, speak the essence, your frequency, your vibration. This is a powerful thing. And this connects us to Creator, or if you will, God, all that it is, consciousness, your spirit. So I invite you to speak gratitude into your morning as you open your eyes. The first water of your day you should make prayer to. Speak into the water. It should be in glass or wood, real wood, not plastic. And the vibration you carry will be in the memory of the water as you intake and drink this, and you create and you pray into it. This connects you to the element of water, your breath, the heat of your body, of fire. All the essence, all the elements, you are one. So we use this in that prayer. And you're creating, just like you created when you wrote and you saw it to fruition. This is using that element. And the last thing I ask is breathe. Before you leave your bed, deep breaths. Many of us walk in chaos, as they were speaking before, and we let it overwhelm us. Breathe deeply into your body, in, up into the nose, into the brain, and completely out, letting your belly button touch your spine. And taking even 10 of those breaths, very simple, you can balance yourself for the morning or even the day. You'll wake up the body before you even need a cup of coffee as a Band-Aid or this thing that you've gotten used to. The world is so filled with bandages, and I can talk on and on for that, but keeping it simple. 3 gratitudes, pray to your water, and breathe.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to hear more about the bandages too, so maybe we can go into that before we end.